Hello, my English 102 students. I hope you're healthy and happy and working on finishing your classes online. I know this has been a difficult shift for all of us, but I applaud you for finishing the semester. So here we go. We're going to talk about creating the claim, a strong claim, so that you have a strong argument. Now, you've read two articles in preparation for this writing assignment, and you've analyzed them and you've done an outline so that you're familiar with the components of the argument essay. You've chosen a topic, most of you, and so you're ready to jump in to the next phase of how to create a claim and a forecasting statement. So let's get started. Okay, so I've stated a claim. It's rather big, it's rather clumsy, but that's okay because that's a beginning. So don't be too judgmental of your first efforts in creating that claim. It will be kind of big and vague. Like mine. The education system in the United States is failing poor students. Now, we could write a book because this claim is so large. So we want to get it down to a more appropriate size for this assignment. Remember, we're just writing 8 to 10 paragraphs, and so we want an appropriate size claim that will fit into the 8 to 10 paragraphs. Okay, so we're going to look at how can we do that. Okay, first we're going to state all of our reasons for our position. So I've jotted down some very quickly. Test scores are low in the inner city schools. There's a very high dropout rate at inner city schools. Lack of education perpetuates poverty. The physical facilities at inner city schools are substandard. And the curriculum at inner city schools is diluted. Okay, so there's really no rhyme or reason. I just threw out the reasons. Okay, now, it's very important that you reduce your many reasons to just 3. 3 is a magic number, especially for an essay of this length. 8 to 10 paragraphs. So I've reduced it to 3. Number 1, gangs and illegal drug use contribute to low test scores and high dropout rates. 2, physical facilities are substandard. And 3, curriculum is diluted. Okay, so that is creating something smaller, more manageable. Okay, now using those 3 points, I'm going to do my research, and I'm going to look in generalized encyclopedias, specialized encyclopedias, to give me an overview of my topic. I'm going to look at journal articles, particularly the ERIC database, because I'm writing about an educational topic. I'm going to look at websites and blogs that are written by professionals. I'm going to look at opposing viewpoints so I can see many sides to this argument. Now remember, an argument is not like a pancake. There's just not 2 sides. An argument is more like a diamond with many facets. So as you research, you want to discover and investigate as many facets to your argument as you can. Also, interviewing an expert is an excellent way to add research to your paper. And you know how to do that because you did that with your career essay. Okay, now when you do your research, make sure that you kind of keep 2 separate piles, if you will, of research. I know you do this electronically, but keep notes on your position and then keep separate notes on the opposing position. And this is really going to help you when you begin to write your essay. And it will also strengthen your argument if you learn how to refute the opposing positions. If you ignore the opposing positions, you're going to have a very weak paper. So you must entertain them and address them. Okay, remember those 3 points that we created for to support our claim. They're fluid. They're going to change as we do more research. And you'll see that mine are changing with each slide because I'm doing more research, I'm finding out more information. And so you don't want to become too attached to your claim or to your supporting arguments, because they're going to change. They're fluid like water. Okay, right now I want you to pause and I want you to grab your sample argument outline that's on page 6 of your handout, and I just want you to plug in your supporting arguments. Now you might want to make a couple copies of this little form, because you're going to use it over and over again as you refine your arguments, your supporting arguments, and your refutations. But right now, just plug in your supporting arguments. And the next thing I want you to do is revise your claim. Now, I looked at my supporting arguments, and I thought, maybe I should make this smaller scope. So I did. The education system in Arizona is failing the inner city poor. Okay, so instead of writing about the whole country, I'm just writing about Arizona. And so that seems a little bit more manageable. Okay, now this is the best trick about creating a cohesive and organized argument essay. Create a forecasting statement and use those supporting arguments in your forecasting statement. For example, gangs and illegal drugs, low expectation, and unfair distribution of taxes are a few reasons our education system is failing our inner city school students in Phoenix. Okay, so now it's not just Arizona. I've narrowed it down even further into Phoenix, and this is going to make my topic much more manageable. Okay, now when we organize our forecasting statement, we want to make a strong statement first. That's our number one item. Then we want to make a stronger statement as our second, and then our third is our very strongest supporting argument. And so you'll be shuffling those arguments around a little bit so you can get them in the appropriate order. And you might not stop shuffling until your second or third draft, because you're going to be getting feedback from the people that are helping you. So kind of keep that fluid too. Okay, now I want you to create a scratch outline. You're kind of expanding the outline on page 6. That was just a real brief little way to get our ideas organized, but this is getting our writing organized. So state your claim, state that beautiful forecasting statement, which we're not going to get too attached to because it could change, and list each of your points and plug in your research. So this is very simple. It's just 3 things. Now, you're not sure which research you're going to use. That's okay. Just plug in what you have. Now, I'm giving you an example of what my scratch outline looks like. I wish I could have it all on one slide, but the font was too small, so I broke it up into 3 slides. So number 1, argument. Gangs and illegal drugs sabotage education. And I would have my research support this with statistics. I would quote probably social workers, people in criminal justice, and then I would address that counter-argument that it's really poverty and lack of federal funding that is creating this educational crisis. And I would refute it with more research that families need more support, that it has less to do with money and more to do with the family. Okay, my second argument. There's low expectation of students. And I would cite the value of having high expectations, high educational standards, and helping students meet those standards. And I would cite studies, quote experts, and give examples. Okay, and I would have to address the counter-argument. High standards set up kids for failure. And we certainly don't want to do that. But I would refute that with studies, with interviews from experts, for quotations, statistics, because we don't want to teach our children to be failures. We want to teach them to succeed. Okay, my third argument. Unfair tax distribution. And that affects how much money we have. So the counter argument is schools receive funds from property taxes. We can't change this. This is the law of the land. Well, I'm going to refute that with we need to create a new system for funding schools because our inner city schools children are being jeopardized and they're participating in this cyclical poverty. Their parents were poor, they're going to be poor, and their children will be poor. And so we have to create a new system. That's my argument. Okay, so that's what your little scratch outline is going to look like, only you're going to plug in your research. Now, okay, write your first draft. Focus on the body paragraphs. Each paragraph needs a topic sentence, and that's usually a simple sentence, right? And each of your supporting arguments will need 2 or 3 paragraphs. And support your points with parenthetical citations, and you know that means research. So notice all we're doing is supporting our the ideas in our forecasting statement. We're not entertaining anything else. Okay, you're going to workshop that first draft. Don't worry about an introduction or a conclusion. Focus on the arguments that you have developed and researched. This is very important. Okay, ideally workshop with someone in our English 102 class remotely. But if that's not possible, recruit someone outside of our class, teach them the elements of the argument essay, and show your wonderful volunteer your outlines and your research. And so as you teach them, they'll be learning something new, and that's going to be helping them. And teaching others will help you understand and apply the elements of the argument essay. Okay, now that first draft, you've got that complete, you've workshopped it, and you're going to use the feedback from your workshop, and you're going to revise your essay. Again, pay close attention to your paragraphing and your parenthetical citations. This is critical at this stage. Okay, next you're going to write the second draft. And you're going to refer to your sample argument outline on page 6 of your handout. Now, you're going to plug in your refutations and your concessions. Oh, and I forgot counter arguments. So you're going to plug in your counter arguments, your refutations, and your concessions. Just plug them in. And your research is going to help you. And you've done that. And you'll continue to do research. Okay. So your second draft, this is going to be more complex, but you've already done your part of what your position is. Now you're just going to refute the counter arguments with research and reason. And you've probably already refuted some of them in your first draft. So make those refutations clearer and stronger. The more counter arguments you refute, the stronger your position. I know that feels counterintuitive, but it's true. Now, make a concession. Surrender a point or two to the opposition. This shows that you are informed and reasonable. Now remember our essay, Working at McDonald's? He made one concession, and it was, well, maybe working at McDonald's could be educational. He did it reluctantly, but he did it, and that's, I think, the sign of a good argument paper, that we make a concession or two. Okay, now we're going to do a second draft. You're going to workshop it with 2 or 3 people. Again, recruit a volunteer if you don't have anyone in the class to workshop with remotely. Teach them how to do a workshop. Teach them the principles behind the argument essay. Okay, step 16 is review and rest. Review your research notes for additional ideas. Review your workshop notes. This guy's completely overstressed. He's got too many things going on his desk. So he's not a good example. Okay, and then let the essay rest for 24 or 48 hours before you write the final draft. This allows your unconscious to kind of sort out all the things you've been doing, and you're going to come up with a couple of really good ideas that will refine and elevate your essay if you give it a little bit of a rest. Now, if you procrastinate this process, you won't have the luxury of letting the essay rest for 24 or 48 hours. And so when we procrastinate, we diminish our results. Okay, the final revision. You're going to revise your essay and use the online tutor center to review your essay and your works cited and your works consulted. Also, you can email me with questions that you have at any stage of the writing process. Now, submitting your essay, I want you to ignore the portfolio items listed on page 5 of your handout because those are no longer valid. I'm going to email you through Canvas the required items for the portfolio. So I know this was a lot, but I would suggest that you watch the video in its entirety a couple of times. Do as many steps as you feel comfortable doing. And when you're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, stop. And then pick it up again. And I think that's a better way to proceed. And again, questions, ask your fellow students, and feel free to email me. And with that, I wish you good luck and good writing. And this is week 14. We're almost to the end. Take care. Bye-bye.